So that I think is really the shift, that if anybody is feeling stuck and they're wanting to develop a more active lifestyle, but it feels like they can't seem to make themselves show up for it. They're always procrastinating on it. They're always finding something else that's more important than that. It's because of self-talk.
The Art of Rising. Conversations with leaders, warriors, and thinkers who live with intention. Less noise, more clarity. Let's rise. Greetings and welcome to the Art of Rising, where we are exploring transformation, leadership, and conscious visionaries changing the planet. I have a proud honor to sit with this amazing, powerful sister here. We met just recently, and she's open to all of these things. She's doing some dynamic things. So stay tuned, guys. This is a great one. Sister, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself. Tell us where you live and what you're doing with yourself these days.
Thank you so much. I'm Jaime Miller. I'm co-founder of Champion in Command, and we help non-athletes who are feeling too weak or out of shape to even start, get to the point where they're building real strength without getting hurt. And at the moment, I'm living in Nevada. We just moved to northern Nevada up by Lake Tahoe. So we're very close to the sky. And I like saying that we have front row seats to all the weather around Lake Tahoe, which is just beautiful. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I do have a brother that's living over there in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
I've been there a couple of times, and it's the gambling and all that. I was like, "Where's the culture?
Yeah.
This is the culture."
Yeah, it's pretty different. Yeah, we're not gambling people. Yeah, Las Vegas, it's a very different vibe from northern Nevada. Reno is much more quiet, and then we're on the outskirts of that. So we just have that kind of outdoor mountain vibe, high desert, and really good sunrises, really good sunsets, and lots of outdoor adventures.
Well, that's great. That's great. Welcome to the show, and I'm gonna have to get up there very soon and see what's happening there. But let's just jump right into it. I see that you are, I would have to say, like physically aware of yourself within the journey, because I was reading your bio and some of the things that you've been made aware of, right? And you kind of came from this something, and now you've turned into this other thing, and it's like, yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's been a huge identity shift for me in the last few years. I grew up as a very physically awkward kid. I was the one that would get hit in the face in PE class with the ball. I got yelled at in PE class. I would fake my way out of I would be sick so that I couldn't do physical activity because I was so intimidated and I felt so awkward moving my body that I would do anything to avoid that embarrassment. And so then, unsurprisingly, I became an adult who had a lot of the same tendencies. So I put all of my energy and focus into my career, which took off, and I was super successful there. And I hustled really hard in entrepreneurship through my 20s into my early 30s, but it started to catch up with me because there's a limit to how many hours you can be on the computer without actually taking care of yourself. But the problem was, by the time that I got to my late 30s, I was having increasingly escalating physical issues like migraines and blurry vision that wouldn't go away. And I was trying to figure out why at the doctor, and they ran all these tests, like different blood panels and a brain MRI to find out if I had a brain tumor, like all the things. And it turns out that I had stress. Like I basically just didn't know how to take care of myself. And so my doctor said, you need to just prioritize your health. And I did not know how to do that. So the best option that I had at that point was to get a new journal. Like that was like my solution because I didn't understand fitness. I didn't understand exercise. And I thought that I was going to time manage my way into having health again. And it wasn't until I met my partner, Craig, who basically he needed somebody to help him design his curriculum. He's a former athlete with 31 years of experience on the field and coaching, and he needed help creating his program. And I, as a curriculum designer, I was like, that's my wheelhouse. Like, I'm so good at that. So basically, like when I met my partner and we started turning his 31 years of knowledge about athletics and coaching into a program for non-athletes so that they could develop confidence, that was when I started using those concepts. And it was a completely different way of approaching fitness from anything that I had ever experienced when I was younger. And the amazing thing was that my health issues reversed. I had so much more energy. I felt confident about actually going to the gym, and the insecurities of eventually like went away. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like been my journey, has been changing from somebody that just would do anything to avoid working out or putting myself into a situation that I could feel uncomfortable, into being somebody that now does, strength training and deadlifts and, like, as you saw in that LinkedIn video, like running backwards on the treadmill a little bit,
Right, 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 and that does take quite a bit of confidence to do some of those things for sure.
Yeah, well, and I think the difference of what changed in terms of how I was able to actually make that transition is that I started with beginner moves of all of those things instead of being dropped into advanced moves. And that's what I noticed was always the challenge for me. Like when I was younger, I would see people do these physical activities, and there's this expectation that you've got to push your body that hard. You have to do it exactly the same way. No pain, no gain, suck it up, just push through it.
Mhm,
And of
mhm,
course, I didn't have the capacity for those more intense things. But with Craig, like what we learned, we broke it down into like beginner,
mhm,
intermediate, advanced. And so when
right.
I actually started with the beginner version of those things,
Right, mm,
I've been able to make progress to the point
mm,
where now, I put out stuff on social media that is
right,
certainly not beginner anymore. But there was
right,
a whole on ramp
right,
that I
right.
went.
And he's your partner now also, right?
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
there was a bonus in the package here. You fell in love. Yeah. Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah. That is one of the benefits, when you do start doing some of these things. Like I meet guys, they're like, "Oh man, there's no women out here." I'm like, "Are you kidding me, bro? Like, you gotta get out there, bro. Go running, go to the gym. You gotta come on."
Well, it's interesting to me because I do see, I mean, I'd say that the gender, split in the gym, there's a lot of men out there. And I think like if women are interested in meeting men, I'm like, go to the
Mhm.
gym. Like you're going to meet a
Right.
lot of
Yeah. Mhm.
disciplined men who are consistent, like they're
Yeah.
prioritizing their health. They're in the
Yep.
gym. There's a lot of
Right.
men in the gym. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, back in the 60s to the 70s, that's when gyms started taking off. Because before that, there
Mm.
was no these, but then when it started booming, and then guys was like, moving iron, they were like, nah, get out of here. This girl's gonna be nah. And then they were like, hey, wait a minute, there's a lot of them coming. So then they said that that's when gyms started really filling up because they were like, yeah, they can meet someone too.
Yeah,
But
it's interesting. I mean, for sure at this point, I mean, if I was going to do it all over again, I would go to the gym to meet somebody rather than
right.
like, the other methods that were tried in my 20s.
Yeah,
So,
I know, because that's true. You see, for instance, my wife, I met her dancing. She danced really good, and that was important to me. For the culture that I'm in. Salsa. The Latin music and that type of thing. So that was important to me. She danced great. So then we started dancing more and more. But then that comes with all the other things too. I was spending $500 at the bar, and like then I would go home. I forgot what happened, and like, oh, it's just not a good look. But so now you with Craig, and you've created some things, right? You're helping people. Your niche seems to be like those non-athletes, like in their 40s, correct? And
yeah, yeah. I mean, but the truth is, if I had gotten this information in my 30s, I would have avoided a ton of health issues. So we
right.
like to believe that we really can help people who are 30s and above. But as again, because of the way that we've broken down the concepts, the fitness concepts that we're teaching into like beginner, intermediate, advanced, even
Mhm,
people who are in their 60s or 70s that have never really felt confident about
mhm,
fitness
mhm.
have an on ramp as well.
Mhm, mhm. I could see that. I could see that. But what do you think is the biggest mental shift, for people who are not into the gym and they're not working out, around the 30s and 40s or 50s? What is the mental shift that they have to do, that perhaps their body is not agreeing to, you know.
Yeah, well, we believe that everything really starts with your intention and the language that you're speaking to yourself. So, you're either fluent in criticism or you're fluent in encouragement. And so my challenge really for all the years that I was not prioritizing my physical health, it was because I was constantly using the wrong language when I talked to myself about how I'm so busy, I don't have time for that. I'm not good at those things. I suck at it. Really focusing on the disempowering side of
Mm,
everything related to health and fitness. And the biggest shift that happened for me was that I started speaking encouragingly to myself, not just about my ability to actually be in the gym, but also to make time for going to the gym. And so that I think is really the shift that if anybody is feeling stuck and they're wanting to develop a more active lifestyle, but it feels like they can't seem to make themselves show up for it. They're always procrastinating on it. They're always finding something else that's more important than that. It's because of self talk. Self talk
mm,
is
mm.
ultimately the root of the issue.
Yeah, you ain't telling me nothing. Like I hear him every day when I get up. Like, no, stay in bed. It's all right. No, you exercised yesterday. Why you gonna do it today? Rest your body. I'm like, and I just keep pushing. Like just go forward. Like no, I just keep moving forward.
Yeah, well, and I think that that's where a lot of the kind of common idea comes from that we need to push through it or we need to push back against it, which I mean, to some degree, it's true. You've got to make that decision. But the thing is that we make time for the things that we enjoy, right? And it's
Mhm.
effortless,
Yeah,
pretty much like
yeah. No,
relatively
we
effortless to get
prioritize
ourselves
it.
right. Yeah. If we like it, we will do it. And so
Mhm,
this is our spot of like where we focus with people is shifting the conversation so that they're not pushing themselves to have to do it or like forcing through because actually that's where injury can actually happen if you're not paying
mhm,
attention to the right stuff you can get hurt but if you are instead focused on your enjoyment what you get out of it how you benefit from it
mhm,
what
mhm,
shows up for you the gift that you
mhm,
receive as a result of doing that. You're not focused on this disempowering zone, but you're operating in that empowering level where you're benefiting from it. And at that point, it's pretty easy to get yourself to show up to do those things. There's no
mhm.
friction anymore at that point. And so
Right,
that's the thing that I would say that I've gotten out of this, which I think people think it's
mhm,
like, come on, like how could that really be true? But like
right,
I don't hate any
right,
part of working out anymore.
right, right,
I
right,
like all of it because
right,
I understand that I
right.
benefit from it. And when you understand how you benefit from all of
Mhm,
those things,
mhm.
you do them without that mental friction of the negative self talk.
I have to totally agree too. I don't know if that guy in my head is gone, but sometimes he's quiet for a long time. Like he's a whisper in the back, But then there's times like he'll step up like to the mic and be like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Listen, I know, I see you. You're
Right.
obvious, bro. Like, come on, no, like this is my
Right.
lifestyle. This is what I do. I'm
Right.
doing this no matter what. You coming or you staying?
Yeah.
You know."
Right.
And then he's like,
Right.
"All right, I'll come," and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you've got an awareness about when he's back and he steps forward.
Mhm,
And I think that's really like we have a 10-minute wake up routine that we take people through in the
mm,
morning that
mm,
helps them to become aware of that. Because sometimes what people don't realize is that that speaker is at the mic now
mhm,
and
mm,
now they're
mm, mm.
driving the whole
Right,
day. They're
right.
controlling the whole
Yep,
day. And
mhm,
so it's essential to recognize those moments when they're
mhm.
happening. It seems you're aware of it, which is
Yeah,
amazing. And
yeah,
then you're able to do
mhm,
something about it when you have that
mhm.
awareness. But if you don't even realize this guy's at the mic right now,
Right.
he's calling the
Yeah,
shots, you
yeah.
know,
You think, "Oh, that's just me." It's like, "No, it's not you. It's."
right?
We could explain it many ways. One of the ways that like scientists would describe it, or physicists, or mental, they would say that it's just the frontal lobe of your brain. It's the one that helps you to navigate this realm. That's why you pick that blouse and those type of things. But you're doing all these choices. But then it goes on overdrive. Like, oh no, watch out, don't go out, no, don't go to the gym, it's late, or it's too early, or it's like, oh man, come on. Like,
Right.
you have to
Yeah.
see that thing. You have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is really the biggest obstacle that people, especially and I think it starts in the 30s, but for sure by the time you're in your 40s, your 50s, there's been so much repetition of it. This is like the main obstacle for people
Mhm,
is to recognize that that conversation is happening about fitness and
mhm,
health because
mhm,
the challenge that we have is we're so smart at
mhm.
coming up with reasons to do something or not do something, and
Mhm,
when we're pointed in the wrong direction and we're just creating more reasons not to show up at the gym, not to do the strength training activities, not to put ourselves in any kind of compromising situation,
mhm,
there's this short term win, but then long term, your health ends up suffering because you're going to
mhm,
pay for that eventually.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. Pay now, pay later. That's what I tell people. Yeah, it's like I'll pay now. That's it. I'm not paying later. No, no. We don't know what the future holds. There's no guarantees, but I put my money here.
Yeah. And what if paying now actually was enjoyable?
Exactly. Yes. No.
What if it
I
doesn't
feel
even have to suck to pay
right.
now?
You know, for me, oh, man, there was all kinds of things I had to let go of. Like I was a wreck, you know. But once I started letting go of some of those things, and I got some clarity, I was like, okay, now let's go. Now I'm going to the gym, and I'm like, oh, I need more. I need more. And then I signed up for one of the obstacle course races. You know, it was the Spartan franchise. Just
Oh, wow. Is that like
yeah,
Tough Mudder?
It's Tough Mudder seemed to be more about the beer and like let's hang
Oh, okay,
out, like
alright.
right. But Spartan was is more like there's obstacles here, like we're not fooling around and those type of things. So I said, okay, I went for it, and then I did my first one. I was like, I go to gym, I'm good, but I quickly learned that there's a difference between going to the gym and training your body, you know. But once I did it, wow, what a sense of accomplishment. And then I was doing 3 or 4 a year, and I have like
Mm.
almost 20 of those medals in my room,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, they're
That's so
beautiful. I've done
awesome.
some, oh
Congrats.
my god, thank you. They are brutal. I've been to some brutal, like there's one here called the Beast of the East, and yeah, it's like the toughest
Sounds
one.
for real.
Yeah, it's about 16 or 17 um 16 or 17 miles, but it's the mountain, the terrain. The highest peak is like 10,000 feet, and planes start flying at 11,000. So you're in the clouds. Like you get up there, you can't even see 5 feet in front of you. It's just insane. But then the muscles start twitching and talking to you in different areas you didn't even know. So, but it was beautiful,
So how
and
did you
and
train
so
for
worth
that?
it.
Or did you train for that?
I did, lots of YouTube type of stuff and all that, and then putting my regiment, running, doing lots of running and all sorts of squats and bear
Mm.
crawls and those type of things. Because it's a lot of on the legs,
Mhm.
and then the strength, it's upper body stuff too. And but then you speak about the rewards. It was incredible, But what do you tell people then when they're like at this age and they're like, man, but I've never really gone to the gym, How do you reshape their confidence or their self-respect, and build that?
Yeah.
How does that look?
Yeah. Well, I would say in the most surprising way, where we start is with a 10-minute wake up routine that happens in the morning,
Yes,
and
tell
I
us
can
about
just kind
that.
of quickly walk you through it. But basically, the first step of it is breath work. So we encourage our clients to replace their alarm with breath work, because it just helps to oxygenate the body, get and make the neurons start firing without caffeine. Not that I love coffee and I do still drink coffee, but I don't pour coffee onto an empty stomach anymore like I used to. So breath work is the beginning of that. And then after, we have a process that we co-create with each client. It's called an activation code, and it's basically a personalized document that reminds them of all of these confirmations of strength and achievement that they've had in their life. So it's a very particular type of document that takes you through like different themed areas. But basically, by the time that you finish listening to yours, you feel like a badass again because you're just like,
Mm.
I did that and I did that and I did that. Because sometimes like we wake up and we have this goldfish memory, like we just forgot all of the amazing, powerful things that we did in our life. And the activation code just brings all of that back for each
Mm.
person.
mhm,
in less than 5 minutes. They're just hearing all of that. So that's a very centering, grounding, like anchoring moment. And then the third part of it is what we call a situation adjuster, where we're shifting out of disempowering self-talk. He steps up to the mic and he's got something to say. Okay, he can say it. And
right.
then we're also going to very gently and lovingly take the mic and hand it to the empowered
Mm,
version,
right.
who is like really here to rock and show up for today with
Mm,
intention. So we
mhm,
have that. It's basically a process that it's like a journaling activity. It takes
mhm,
about 5 minutes to go through, but it essentially helps you become fluent in that empowered self-talk, or sometimes we call it the language of strength, basically, so that you're
mm,
moving forward
mm,
like that. So that's really the first step, because when people do that, they bring their champion, they bring their best version to their workday, to their family, to working out. So that is the most important thing to start with, because now if you show up to exercise, if you show up to your nutrition, you're going to show up as that better version of yourself that is more capable, more resilient, and able to figure things out faster without feeling super insecure or super
mhm,
intimidated by
mhm,
all of those things. So we got to get the right person showing up, and
mhm.
then we take them through the fitness process.
Yeah, here we're the OMZL Healing Sanctuary, by the way. We're located in North Bergen. We do many things, and a lot of it has to do with mindset and those type of things. But owning some of these things that you're alluding to, like the other day, and I was out for a run, and some challenging parts, and I was like, oh man, I don't know, and this and that, and then quickly the other guy shows up. It's like, wait a minute, yesterday, man, you kicked some ass, bro. How about that thing that you did? And I'm like, yeah, that's right. He's right. I'm like, yeah, I could do it. Yeah. So,
Yes. Yes. And I mean, what you're talking about right there is it's the heart of that moment, right? And the thing is, like, what I ask to all of your listeners, do you know how to navigate that moment? Because the guy will come up who has something negative to say. Like, it's okay. There are these whispers of doubt. But what do in that moment? Because if your habit continue fixating on, like, oh, my legs
mm,
feel so heavy
mm,
right now, how
mm,
many miles has it been since I had some water, how
right,
long is this taking,
yeah,
oh my gosh,
yeah,
it's the temperature, like
yeah,
it's starting to get to me,
mm,
like it will just erode your confidence. Whereas in that moment,
mm,
if you can train yourself to have this other conversation where
mm,
you amp yourself up just like you
mhm,
did, I mean, how
mhm.
much more did you get out of the tank because of
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Much more, much more, much more. It's
Right.
beautiful. And one of the things that we push here also is tracking. We tell people you gotta track. If you don't like if you want to lose weight, you'd be like, oh, I lost 5 pounds. How do you know? Did you get on the scale and did you write it down? No, well, my pants are loose. I'm like, that could be gas. You
Yeah,
you know what I'm
it's
saying? Like
true. Or it could be
you
muscle
gotta
loss.
track, bro. Exactly.
Could be muscle
Like
loss. Yeah.
track it. That way you can see it, a visual. And a lot of guys use the apps, but then it's in the phone, it's out of sight. We suggest a calendar. I have a
Mm,
yearly calendar right over there, and I also have the desk calendar where I peel off a month and I put those up there too. And I'm tracking my food, I'm tracking my running, I'm tracking my habits.
yeah.
Like I went with the kids to the movies, and I ate the whole large tub of popcorn with butter. That's not even real butter. It's chemicals, bro. Like, so, but
But
I,
it
I
tastes
track
good,
it.
and
It tastes great.
sometimes you
And
can have
sometimes it's
it.
fine. Of course. No,
Like,
yeah, but I'm tracking it. You see?
yeah,
So
no,
so it was
it is
okay
important.
there, but it's
Yeah.
not okay for me to do it 2 days later again. Like, no, and
Yeah,
then the third
moderation.
time yeah, it's like, come on, that's but if you don't track it, you're not seeing it. You don't
Yeah.
know.
It's true. Yeah, no, I mean, we track stuff. I track stuff. I mean, for
Mm,
myself, tracking my food is the permission to eat more, because
mm,
I
mm,
eat more when I'm tracking my calories, and I understand how, because I can hit the target so
mm.
that I can actually have muscle gain. Sorry, I don't know. Can you hear the dog in the background?
That's okay. That's all right.
He's
We
just
animal lovers
howling.
here. Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
Malamute. He's very talkative this morning.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
good. You spoke earlier about the breath work, and that
Hmm.
really touched home too, because that's one of the things that we push here too.
Yeah.
Everyone should have some sort of breath work experience. And when I rise up, I'm doing 10 or 15. minutes of breath work. I do
Yeah.
different ones. Sometimes I stick to one that I like in particular. It's power breaths
Mhm.
and with air retention, with the air out,
Yeah.
and then with
Holds.
the air in,
Yes.
and doing
Yeah.
those. I do a couple of rounds and oh my God, it's beautiful. So tell me, how
Yeah.
does that look with you guys?
Yeah, well, we enjoy a lot of different types of breath work, and we have found different people that can teach it. We particularly, sorry, hang on, wait 1 second. Buddy, you're not alone, and I'm on a thing, so please stop howling. Okay, don't do that. Craig? No? Okay. All right. He thinks he's alone, so he's crying, but okay. Yeah. So basically, we've got a breathwork track that we created based on a beginner approach to it, so that there's cues that are more comfortable for beginners who are getting into it. The music that we chose for our breathwork track is what we felt to be a very energizing, kind of uplifting morning track, because some breath work that I found, it's great like if you're wanting to go to sleep, or if you want to have like a kind of a meditation session that's like super long or something like that. So we made one that's a maximum of 19 minutes, and it's got 3 rounds of breathing, and there's holds in it. But
Mm.
again, it's just got these cues that we feel are good for beginners. So
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, that's what we enjoy using.
It's for me, I tell people it's better than coffee, man. Like it just starts like those old cars that you had to put the key in and give it gas so it could
Yeah,
warm up. Like that's what we need. Like
it
if you,
is.
people are
Yeah.
jumping out of bed, like running, coffee, and brushing the teeth
Yeah.
at the same time, grabbing the
I
coat, and
know.
I'm like, I see them in the street. Like you never run, but you're running to the bus so you don't be late for work. Like, no, there's something wrong with this. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and that's why we like using it actually. It's kind of like an alarm replacement. That's the way that we think about it, because every one of us spends quite a bit of time in bed gaining consciousness, and you can try to shorten that period and then feel like very out of your body. But if you do spend a few extra minutes in bed doing breath work, we just find that it's a really nice way to re-enter the planet in the morning and just be ready
Mm.
to actually get
Mm.
up and handle things. And I have found, I mean, it was interesting. Like there was a situation that happened a couple of years ago. I was traveling with family back east because there was a family funeral that we were at. And the morning that we were leaving to come back to the West Coast, we left the Airbnb and we were going to the car, and somebody had tried to hotwire and steal the rental car. So fortunately they hadn't managed to do that, but there was glass all over the ground. The steering column was completely pulled apart. Like you couldn't drive the car, and we had to get from Connecticut back to the JFK airport and make international flights. So like my family's all like stressed out about it. And it's interesting because that morning I'd done breath work. I had done my regular exercise, like workout routine, and I was like so in my body. I was like, I was
Mhm.
the one that just was like on the phone dealing with the
Mhm.
police and the
Mhm.
the tow truck
Mhm.
and the rental company and all of these things.
Mhm.
And it's like I just could fire just so
Yep.
much more
Yep.
efficiently
Oh.
to just
Mhm.
navigate that challenge.
Yep.
Meanwhile, my family's just like, ah,
Right. Right.
.
Yep. That's what I try to explain to people too. Just I'm like, bro, they like when we first spoke too. People say, "Oh, how are you?" I'm doing amazing, man. I'm on fire. Like most of the time, I'm really everything is great. Everything is
Yeah,
up. Everything's fine.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
something just happened over here. I know, but it's
Yeah.
all right. It's good. Like I'm working through it. What am I gonna? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah, well, you're navigating, like,
Mm,
that frequency rise, basically, and, yeah, we might have moments that we dip down, but when you're
mm,
actively taking control to bounce back
mm.
up again, your life stays in a much better place for a
Yeah, for
longer period
sure.
of time.
For
Yeah,
sure.
that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
So how about, guys who say and they come to you, they go, "Oh man, it's too late for me. I'm
Mm.
not going to look at me. Look how old I am. I'm not going to the gym. Look at my body. This is me." Like you go, how do they say? I have the washboard stomach, but it's for silk. It's not for jeans.
I've never heard
Yeah,
that one
it's
before.
so round. It's just for
Okay.
soft fabrics. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
so what do you
yeah.
tell them? How do you work with them?
Well, I mean, what do you truly desire is the question that I would ask. Because
Mm,
if you're looking for somebody to agree that there's nothing that you can do about your situation, then I'm not the person to talk to,
mm,
because I know that there's more that is possible for every single person who desires to show up for themselves, for their health. And I mean, it is this choice, right? Like, and this is why the 10-minute wake up routine is such an important thing, because we will create all of these reasons that it's too late, it's not going to work. Look at me. Like, what do you want me to agree with you about that? But like, you're here for change, you're here for growth. So like, no,
mm.
I'm going to look at you. Okay. Like, I mean, yeah, that may be there's also more that's available to you when you make that choice to show up. And so
That's
that
true.
10-minute wake up routine
Mm,
helps orient people, ground them, and reconnect them to their most powerful,
mm,
capable version of themselves.
mm,
Because when we look at, I mean, a lot of us, like for myself, I was professionally very successful, and in fitness I was a failure for decades. And
mm.
so what was necessary for me was to remind myself of my professional accomplishments, and then point that, transfer that, and channel that into my fitness.
Mm, mm,
Because when I accessed the accomplishments from my career, and
mm,
or wherever, with family and other sources in my life, and I said, I am capable, I have done these things, I overcome challenges regularly, and
mm.
fitness challenges are just another type of challenge. There's nothing special about
Right,
fitness challenges.
right,
Right.
right.
So this is why the right you has to show up first, because if the
Mhm.
wrong you is showing up, I
Yeah.
mean, somebody who brings what you just described, you
Mhm.
need the 10-minute wake up routine, which can be downloaded. You can start going through it on our website, actually, if you
Right.
want.
Yeah, and trust me, I am. Just that you mentioned it, I'm like, I'm gonna look deeper into this because I'm always looking for new things and to introduce also to the community and the tribe, as well as the men's training that we do. I don't like to say men's retreat because I think of like
Mhm.
guys like on the beach with the coconut water, and we're not doing that. We're not having, we're not wrestling each other to the ground either. But when we do go away with men, we are training them for mindset, and that has to do with breath work. And we also do the cold plunge. That actually is one of our staples here at
Love
OMZL,
that.
is the breath with the ice. You see, we're having an event coming up. We're always having them. We go to cross fitness gyms, yoga studios, we do street fairs, like just to introduce that modality to people. But the cold, yes, it's
Love it.
hard.
That's
Yes, it
awesome.
sucks. Yes, I know, but the benefits, the endorphins, the dopamine rush, like anti-inflammatory, like, oh, this like, tons. The breath work alone, and then with
But
the
I
ice
mean,
in it.
here's the thing though. You could say yes, it sucks, but you don't think it sucks.
No, no, I
That's
don't.
the difference
Right,
though. This
right,
is
right,
what we're talking about with the
right.
self-talk. The
Yep.
people who are
Hmm.
consistent with fitness are not saying
Right.
those things to themselves. You don't
No,
think that the cold sucks.
no.
You're
What
excited about it. That's the
exactly?
key difference. And
Mhm, mhm,
when non-athletes don't understand how
mhm,
to make themselves excited,
mhm, mhm.
they can't show up for
Right.
it. That you're able to.
What I am saying is that it's hard, but going to work's hard too. And going grocery shopping's hard too. And, and talking to mom on the phone is hard. And, yeah, like it just goes on. Life, there's hard things to do. Yeah, there
Yeah.
is. Sure.
Well, yeah, and I think
Sure.
for myself, I looked at my career. I faced a lot of challenges at work, but I
Mm,
enjoyed them. So it was like, yeah, there was a challenge, but I got a benefit from it, and I understood how I benefited. And I think that that's really where the dots need to be connected when people
mm,
have struggled with fitness for a long time. They know that they should be taking
mm,
care of their health, and
mm,
they want more practical tools for it. It's around that self talk, because when you can connect the dots for someone in this way, they self motivate. You don't need to
mm,
hold somebody accountable for these kinds
mm,
of things, and you
mm,
don't have to put them on a crazy strict schedule. They
mm,
will find the motivation,
mm,
internal motivation, to show
mm.
up and do it without all of the excuses anymore.
Yeah. Oh, for me, like once I started jumping a few of these hurdles, I was like, wait a minute, I'm leaving so much on the table. There's more here. Oh man, I
Mm,
started doing bigger races and training my body more
right,
hard and being more
right,
disciplined.
right,
But
right,
like you said, enjoying it. But
right.
then,
Yeah.
What if someone comes to you and they go, "Yeah, but what if I get hurt? Like I have these concerns," and like, well, how do you address that? Because they'd be like, "Yeah, I've been
Oh,
out of the gym for a while."
such an important question. Yeah, this is a really important question. We care a lot about making sure that people don't get hurt. So in the mini course, which is free on our website and you can go do, there's basically like 3 steps to it. And the third step, we walk you through something called the refreshing workout, which is our approach to fitness. So when you saw me on YouTube, like running backwards on the treadmill, like that's part of it, a more intermediate, upper intermediate version of the beginner stuff. But the refreshing workout basically makes you feel good by the end of it. So you're not pushing yourself through pain. And I bring this up because in that lesson, one of the concepts that we talk about is 5 degrees of pain and effort. And basically, this is the key to avoiding getting hurt with all of this stuff. So I would suggest if you want the real explanation, go watch it in there. But I want you to imagine that there's like a circle at the center that's your comfort zone. And around that are these rings. There's like a first ring, a second ring, a third ring, a fourth ring, and a fifth ring. And the first ring out to the third ring is where you're going through the motions of exercising or weightlifting or strength training or whatever, but you're not starting to lose control in a kind of a reckless way. And like the fourth ring and the fifth ring is where people will now push themselves so hard, maybe because a friend is there or a coach is there or their own ego in the back of their mind is like, you weakling, fucking go hard. It is. Sorry. Hopefully I just
That's
said we
fine.
didn't
That's
talk about
fine. That
explicit.
sounds like me, but go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, right. But that's the thing is like, and if we are pushing ourselves too much or we allow ourselves to get pushed too hard,
Mhm.
we can start to experience these signs that we're losing control of the motion, we're losing control of
Mm.
the weight, our form is off, we're compromised in some kind of way. That's where we get hurt. And
Mm.
so we start by having a conversation around these things because, again, it's very important that non athletes understand that the only person who can identify that is
Mm.
you.
Right, right.
It's not a coach on the
No,
outside. The coach
right.
isn't lifting it.
Right,
Your
you don't
friend
know.
isn't doing it.
Right.
So you've got to have that self awareness to keep yourself safe. And so we always err on the side of caution that it's better to do a little bit less today so that you don't get hurt and then you can show up again tomorrow than it is to push yourself into that place where, like, yeah, if you get injured, I mean, you could be out for months and then you
Right,
just
right,
backslide. And
right.
then
Mm.
you've got to overcome failure flashbacks of
Mhm.
how you got hurt last time. So it's always better to just be in those comfort
Mhm.
zones just a little bit more on the safe
Mm.
side.
Yes, for sure. That's great because I know in the beginning I was now that I'm thinking about it and we're talking, like I was like, wow, I was getting hurt in the beginning. Yeah. And I made some adjustments. I had to like listen to my body,
Right.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
no, they just don't. Not today, not today. But my mind is like, come on, yeah, push through it. I'm like, no. And just wait a day, sometimes 2 and 3, and the voice is like trying to get me, and I'm like, no, no. But I tell you, Jamie, when I come back, like on the second, even one day that I take off, man, I'm stronger. I'm more focused. I'm more in it, man. I'm like firing at all cylinders. So it's
I love it.
important not to be hurt.
No, yeah,
Um,
you can't get hurt. And I mean, especially because if you're playing the long game and your plan is to show up for longevity and having a really good experience as you're older, you can't get hurt. Like you
mhm,
can't get
mhm.
hurt. It's
Right,
not really
right.
an option.
Right,
Like,
exactly. And
yeah.
then how about sustainability? Sustainable strength. How does that look for someone who's, 40, 50, 60, looking, different from performance driven?
Mm. Yeah, well, I guess my goal, like when I think about where I'm going with all of this or what I would want for anybody who's a non-athlete that is thinking about their future with fitness, it's like, how do you want to show up to your family in those older years? Like, do you want to be able to go to the grocery store with them and like walk through an icy parking lot or carry your stuff or go on vacation? Like, those kinds of things, just of enjoying life, those are the simple pleasures. And so
Mm,
when I look to the future, or I think about like my mom right now and what I want for her, it's just to be able to enjoy the simple things without getting hurt.
mm,
So it's not about having a personal record every day necessarily. It's about doing the things that simply allow us to keep showing up to the people that we love, to live the life that we love, and do the hobbies that we love, because
mm,
fitness and exercise is what buys more time. So I
mm.
think that that ultimate outcome is just a little bit different, I guess, than trying to win a medal necessarily. It's
Right,
just
right. It seems that we do underestimate, or most people do underestimate that, the role of recovery that it plays for the long term. But what do you think it is that
in terms of
people,
recovery.
yeah, like,
Yeah, how
yeah,
do we
yeah.
recover? Yeah, well, we cover 5 things, there's yeah, so I'll just kind of show you quickly. So this is the playbook that goes with our program, so if
Mhm.
you're
I
in the
love
Strength
that book.
Academy, you get it, yeah.
Beautiful.
So it
I'm
gives
looking
you a
forward
place that
to
you can write down, kind of keep notes of all of the concepts, but essentially when it comes to recovery, I mean, for sure, breath is absolutely an important part of that. So breath work has been shown, there's a number of studies actually that have been done
it.
about how breath work accelerates people's recovery. So that's
Mm,
an amazing
right.
reason just to do
Yeah.
that there. But continuing to move the body, even just with walks, I think walking is
Mm,
really
mhm,
underrated. And sometimes as we
mhm,
get more into the fitness world,
yeah.
we start
Mhm,
devaluing walks. It's just
mhm,
walking, but like
yeah.
walking can be incredibly valuable for recovery,
It does, extends
low
your
intensity.
life, like all
Yeah.
kinds of things. Yeah, yeah, people take that for granted too, but there's so many benefits there. But tell me, like, when somebody comes to you and they'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna help me? You better fix this. You know you're gonna fix this." Like, what do you tell them? Like, "Yeah, we're gonna fix it," or you were like, "Hey, no, you're fixing yourself, bro." Or,
What do you mean? Can you rephrase the question?
well, sorry, I talk a little
That's
fast.
okay.
That's my Brooklyn
It's
style
okay.
there.
No, no, it's good. I feel like your mind, I'm catching up to your mind. So
Of course, of course. So, like, when someone comes to you and say, "Hey, look, I need help," because I'm sure that people come to you with all sorts of issues, and you're basically in the business of helping people, like, on a deep level, and not to say it lightly, but like saving lives. Like, that's what you're doing, right? Because some people, they could be gone like in a year or two, but with physical activity, studies have shown, tons of studies, like this
yeah, you're
extends your life,
buying
and then
life.
you're buying life and you're buying happiness too. Like it boosts your mood. I mean, there's so many
Yeah,
benefits.
yeah.
But when someone comes to you and they tell you, how do we do this? How do we start? What's it look like in a year from now, or things
Mm,
like that,
yeah. Well, I would say that we wanna start with that 10-minute wake up routine and making sure that we are anchoring into your strength, past achievements, your past accomplishments. Because once we tap into that, we can start to direct that energy to overcome things that, with fitness, maybe going to the gym regularly or doing certain types of exercise, that those might have felt intimidating, or to give you the confidence to try to overcome those failure flashbacks that might come up from
Mm,
something that happened before. So we've got to get the right person to show up. That's
mm,
key. And
mm,
then calling that person up every morning is essential, because you need them to keep showing up for you. I mean,
mm,
work is easier
mm,
when that person
mm,
shows up. Being with your family is easier when that person shows up. And for sure,
mm,
doing all of the fitness and nutrition things are a lot easier when that person
mm,
also shows up. And so then after we get that person showing up, then we want to make sure that the right, like as we were saying, the right self-talk is happening, empowering self-talk, like that moment that you described when you were running yesterday. You had that
mm,
choice.
mm,
Am I gonna get weak at this
mm,
moment and like give
mhm.
up, or
Yeah.
you found your second wind because of the way
Mhm.
that you were talking to yourself and like the thoughts that you
Yeah.
had. So
For
we've
sure.
got to get you fluent in that
Mhm,
change. That's what has to happen on a
mhm,
regular basis. And
mm.
then, the practicalities of like the meal plan that's going to help with
Mm.
body composition, like that's all easier to do afterwards when the right version of you is showing up. So
Let's talk
yeah,
about that, right?
sure.
Because we're big on that also here, like meal prep. I tell guys,
Mm,
look, bro, real play is meal prep. If you go into a job like 4 or 5 days a week, man, bring your lunch. If
Mm,
not, you're at the mercy of these corporations that they're just pumping chemicals and sugars and seeded oils. Like, make
mhm,
your food something
mhm.
you like. If you can't eat it for 4 or 5 days, okay, make something for 2 days and make something for three. But
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Perhaps you could tell me, Jamie, how does it look over there? Like the meals, and what do you suggest, and those
Yeah,
types of
for
things.
sure. Let me just hang on. I'm just gonna open a reference just because this you'll edit this little bit out real quick. But uh sorry, just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Um Yeah, so basically, our approach with food is that it's not necessary to restrict certain types of food when you understand how to eat in moderation and you've got a meal plan that is set up for your real life schedule and the kind of flow of energy in your day and uh, making sure that you've got things that are simple and convenient that you can grab and take with you or prepare when you're at home. That is going to allow you to just have much more balanced energy throughout the day. So, our
Mm,
whole approach with it basically is that we customize clients' meal plans to their body. So we've got to understand what their basal metabolic rate is, which, if you're not sure, if you haven't heard of basal metabolic rate, it's basically having the right number of calories so that you're being fueled properly. So we do not want to see people undereat. We don't want to see them not be getting the nourishment that is going to help them
mm,
release body fat, but also maintain or build muscle mass because we know
mm,
that that's so important for long-term metabolic health. So we want to make sure that everybody's meal plan is really customized to them.
mm,
And then there may be 3 meals, 4 meals, 5 meals, depending on how people want to do it, how much they want to eat at different times. But we're big fans of protein. So we got to make sure that we've got enough protein in meals. But then also, there's no reason to be afraid of carbs or fat. They're both
mm,
very
mm,
important. And
mm,
so we look at those macro percentages and
mm,
again, develop a customized approach for each person so
mm,
that they've got a customized meal plan that's full of food
mm,
that they love eating
mm.
and there's an emphasis on whole foods, but we also recognize that sometimes people are going to have processed food. Sometimes they're going to have ultra processed food. It's not the devil. It's like
Right.
moderation is the thing
Mhm,
that really matters with
mhm,
that more than
mhm.
anything. Because if you're taking care of your body,
Mhm.
you can have a little bit of those things
Right,
and it's
right.
not going to totally
Mm,
destroy all of the work that you've done. Like that's what
right,
health is for, is
right,
being able to
right.
like absorb having a little bit of butter on the
Right, right,
popcorn
right,
with your kids. Like
exactly.
you had a
Yeah,
moment with them,
for sure.
you had a
Yeah,
moment.
in the beginning, I used to like kick myself down the street like twice a day. Like I'm like, nah, that's crazy, bro. Like I'm doing these other things.
Oh,
So
you mean for choosing, like judging the
like
food
choosing
choices that
exactly,
you
like
had?
making
Yeah,
some bad choices,
right.
but that's why we say, to track, you have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
Because if you don't, you're like, oh, I had pizza, no big thing. And then,
right, right.
oh, I had French fries too. Like, no, yeah, but
Yeah,
that's 2 days in a row now, bro. Like,
yeah.
in 3 days, like, okay, you're doing these other things, but you should, stick to some regimen, especially if you're trying to accomplish something.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But we also believe that the whole self-talk part that I brought up before, it also applies to
Mm,
food because the thing is that uh, if we are talking about food in a super judgmental, critical way, it
mm,
can make the food worse than it might actually be because
mm.
now we're focusing on it in such a way that
Interesting.
it's like
Mm.
creating, you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah,
self-fulfilling prophecy almost. It's like
yeah, yeah.
because on some level, the thing is
Mm,
that all food breaks down to either protein, fat, or carbs.
mm,
Like
mm,
that's it
mm,
on some
mm.
level. Food is
Right.
fuel, right? And so
Mm,
if we look at it from that standpoint, again, eating in moderation, like we're not saying having the whole pizza and we're not saying eating only pizza because like that's not
I know.
moderation, right? Right. But like if you do have some and
Mm,
you're balancing it with
mm.
the other right components,
Right.
it's not evil. But again, this self-talk comes in. How are we talking about our food? And
Right.
not just how are we talking about the food that we're eating, but how are we talking about the food that we're like, ooh, but that's off limits because it's dangerous or
Right.
whatever.
Mm.
So something to think
Yeah,
about.
and then paying attention to your body too. Like I go, "Oh, that's no big thing," but then I get up in the morning and be like, I don't feel right. I don't
Right.
feel energetic.
Yeah.
Something's
Yeah.
off. And then I go, yeah, because you ate the whole pizza last night, bro. Like, and
Right.
that was
Right.
late, you know?
Right. Right.
So, once you
Yeah.
start paying attention to your body, you know.
Yeah, all of those things start coming together. And I mean, for sure, it's like the nutrition and the exercise and the mindset piece,
Mm,
they're all
mhm,
important keys with that. You can't
mm,
just
mm.
pick one or two of them. You've
Right.
really got to bring all of them
Well, that's
together.
great. It really does sound like you put all of these things, you're taking the guesswork out of it and the struggle and all the headaches behind it. That's beautiful. Well, coming up close to the hour, I do want to talk about the beautiful book that you have. I see it behind you,
Oh, yeah,
sitting back
sure.
there, right?
Right. The playbook.
The
Yeah.
the Fit Playbook. Tell us about that, and tell us about the Champion in Command. I love that name, by the way. Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, so basically, this is the companion workbook that goes with our training material.
Mm,
And the story behind it is that, like, with my background in curriculum design and working with adult learners, what I know is that a lot of us who are in school, we like writing stuff down, we like having notes. And as much as we're in the digital world nowadays in so
mm,
many different ways, we also really benefit from having a place that we can just keep records of things and document our growth. And so when we were putting together the different parts of Strength Academy, like champion activation and the 10-minute wake up routine, nourishment navigation, and then all of the exercise and fitness part in movement mastery, we knew that there was a need to have a place for non athletes who just are, they're just, they never felt like they were that kind of person, like to have like a safe place to start with that. So this
mm,
basically encapsulates all of our key works, like worksheets and concepts and things like that. So actually, I can show you, because I was talking earlier about the pain. I was talking about the areas of pain. Um, so, like, one of the exercises that we walk people through is understanding these different degrees of effort and pain. And so, and then
mm,
also like having signs that you're losing control. So, what you'll find with this is that a lot of it's empty. And the reason that it's empty is because as you're going through the training, you actually have a
mm,
spot that you can
mm,
write down your
mm,
notes for those things
mm,
so that you have a record of it, because
mm,
you want to be able to have that
mm,
record. So
mhm,
because what I know, again, from working with adult learners, is that they make such faster progress and they're
mm,
much more confident and they remember things when they actually take that moment to write it down. So
mm.
very non-traditional approach to fitness, but we
Right.
found that for people who
Mm,
are in that situation, it's
mm.
really effective.
Yeah, that it makes me think of the tracking. You got it's so
Yeah.
powerful. I mean, I
Yeah.
have I have a journal. I'm
Yeah.
tracking too my thoughts and my
Right.
feelings, my
Yeah.
day, those
Yeah.
type of thing. Then I have
Yeah.
the calendar,
Yeah.
and I have a calendar online. I got two of them on. Like I'm
Right.
tracking. There's no doubt about that. You have to put things down. I love
Yeah.
that book. I love the way it looks
Thank
and
you. Yeah, we put a
yeah,
lot into it. Yeah, I know.
yeah, it
It's
looks
got
it.
two
It looks
ribbons
it.
on it too, so
It
you
looks
can
it.
use it for
Yep.
like, yeah,
Yep.
where you're at with it. But no, it was
Mhm.
definitely a labor of love putting it together. So yeah,
That's
I would say that
beautiful.
probably one of my top experiences in 2025 was
Mm, mm.
being able to write in my own
Mm,
copy of this. That was like
mm.
such a good
Right,
moment.
right. That's great. Yes, own it, of course. So now the champion in command. This is the company that will help with all of these things. Tell us about that.
Yeah, right. So
Mm,
Craig and I started Champion in Command, and you can find us at championincommand.com. And basically, we are an online fitness consulting company. As I said,
mm,
teaching people, non athletes, how to overcome these kinds of obstacles so that they're able to own the skills and have these kinds of growth points that they feel comfortable, they feel confident doing things like this, and mostly having that encouraging conversation with themselves so that they're
mm,
optimizing their health.
That is so super important. I mean, now the big thing is like, oh, I got a coach, or like, I don't need a coach. And then I'd be like, bro, you don't need a coach. You don't need somebody to help you. I mean, look at people who are super successful. They have coaches, everything. They have like food coach, they have like mental coach, they have like, and then you think of athletes, right? They're
Mhm.
super successful. Why? They have a coach, bro.
They have coaches.
Yeah, you need somebody to help you with some of these things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know
Well,
I
I mean, I
know
think case in point, like in 2021, when my
Mhm.
doctor told me that I needed to get my health together,
Mhm.
I didn't have a coach, and
Mhm.
my best solution that I came up with by myself was to buy a new bullet journal and then invest in business programs because I still thought if I fix my business,
Mhm,
somehow
mhm.
my health will get better. And
Right.
it was 18 months after that when I was in a
Mm,
business coaching program where I
mm.
met Craig that
Right,
I
right.
finally realized, like, oh, wait, to fix my health, I need to
Mm,
work on my health.
right.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
fixing my business problem is not gonna fix my health, but
Right,
that's
right.
where I was on my own, right? You know, like,
Mm,
that's
mm.
why,
That
like, sometimes we are lost by ourselves,
yeah, that's
so
right. It's crazy, but that's the society we live in now, especially with all the apps. Oh, maybe if I get the app to the bro, just put in the work, bro. How about that? You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, come
Well,
on,
and
it's
I
not
think
the
that that
app's not
was
gonna do
part
it
of
for you.
yeah, and that was part of the reason why I actually really like I wanted to have the book is because we are
Mm,
so flooded with digital technology and it's like okay, it's in the phone, but it's so small in the phone
mhm,
and sometimes it's very hard to find stuff that's
mhm,
digital. But when it's
mhm.
on paper, there's just something, you know, like I said, for those of us who grew up in that era where we
Mm,
went to school in that way and we learned in
mm,
that way, we
mm,
need paper. There's just a
mm, mm,
different kind of organization that
mm.
you can create when things are in front of you in the real world and not everything just
Right.
like inside the internet, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, in the beginning was the word and the word was God. So like it's like words are very important. And then they go, "Oh, do you know how to spell?" Spell. So I tell them, "You see, when you're writing, it's an incantation that you're doing, bro. Like you have to spell it, write
That's
it,
true.
get your
That's
thoughts
true.
out, right?" And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you talked about like that voice and those type of things, and some people call that like some of the subconscious, right? Is there to protect you.
Mhm.
But then, like I told you, it's on overdrive. Oh, don't start that
Right.
podcast. Don't write that book. Like it's just on overdrive, and
Mhm.
you have to notice
Mhm.
that, right? So Bruce
Yeah.
Lipton, if you know who he is, he's a speaker.
Yeah.
Bruce Lipton, he speaks about that, about the subconscious, where there's like a record
Right.
playing in the background. But it's like
Right.
fish when you tell them hey, what about the water? The fish says, "What
Mhm.
water? What do you?" It's because the record is playing in the background for so long you don't even recognize it. So
You don't
we
even
have to
notice it.
first
Yeah,
recognize it and get back there, man, and
exactly.
do the
Yes.
remix on that.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think you're speaking our language, like, this is so close to our heart, and that is the reason, as I said, during the 10-minute wake-up routine that we have the 3rd part, which is the situation adjuster, where you're noticing how to shift your language out of disempowered place into a place of empowered thoughts, because the more fluent we can get in that process, now we're speaking that language instead. And then you're just a beacon. Like that's when you're manifesting. That's when everything just starts pulling to you because you're at that vibrational frequency, right? But the thing is that we are a fish in water. We don't notice it. And so that's where like the situation adjuster helps us ground it because again, like what we're talking about is this invisible language that you're either thinking to yourself or sometimes you'll say it to other people and the worst case scenario is that your friend or your family or your colleague or your boss or your whoever agrees with
Mhm.
you and is like, yeah, there's nothing you can
Yeah,
do about
yeah.
that. Now you're
Yeah.
stuck. Now you're stuck, right? So we need a tool. The situation adjuster is a tool for identifying that and
Mm.
taking what's normally invisible, what's normally like accepted or normalized, and everybody will just be like, oh, yeah, nothing you can do about
Right.
that. And be like, no, actually, here's
Right.
exactly
Here's
what we can do
exactly
about
what we
that.
could do about it, and then do it.
And then
I
do
could
it.
feel that
Yeah.
great results and those things of that nature. You always meet the guy like, "Oh, that's killing me." I'm like, "Bro, you might not want to say that." Or they go like, "Oh,
I know,
I'm not a
yes.
morning person." Like, what? That doesn't even make no.
That's
We're just
why. That's why
we're
you're not a
humans.
morning
We're not
person.
a
Yeah.
type of yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
thank you.
100%.
Thank
Yep.
you.
We you
Thank
got
you.
it.
Yeah, I'm telling you. That's why when I saw you, I said, "Oh, we're together here. I know it. I know it." And people need
Thank
to.
you. Well, I appreciate
That's what we're
that.
doing. The mission of the art of rising. It's this is the podcast. Like, hey, we need the tools. Where are they? They're right here with Jamie, man. Call her up. Look at
Yeah. Well, if they want to, I don't know if it's okay, I'll just
Mhm,
say that if you're
mhm,
interested in trying the 10-minute wake-up routine, you can visit our
mhm,
website, go to
mhm,
championincommand.com, and on the homepage, there are different buttons. They'll all take you
mhm,
through to the sign-up page where you can basically get free access
mhm.
to not just the 10-minute wake-up routine, but we'll also explain how we do meal planning and then more details about the refreshing workout.
Let's do it. I'm there. I'm so in. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time,
you.
sister. I appreciate you big time.
I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
you.
And let's check back. I don't know, a couple of weeks, a month or so, and see where we're at, and let's do it again. You know?
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
excellent. Yeah, I love it.
Stay right there while I close up. Thank you for tapping in, family. Until the next time.